We are going to go now over to Davos because the World Economic Forum is seeing the Chinese leader Xi Jinping give the first ever speech by a Chinese president to the global audience.
President
Doris Leuthard and Mr. Hausen. Heads of state and government, deputy heads of state and your spouses. Heads of international organizations. Dr. Klaus Schwab and Mrs. Schwab. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. I'm delighted to come to Davos. The small, beautiful town in the Alps is indeed an important window through which we can take the pulse of the global economy. People from around the world come here to exchange ideas and insights which will broaden their vision. This makes the WEF annual meeting a cost-effective brainstorming event, which I would like to call Schwab economics. As you know, in 10 days' time, the Chinese will celebrate the Lunar Chinese New Year. Around this time, it is all buzz in China. People visit their relatives and friends. In this way, they will strengthen their bond and friendship. So this time, my wife and I and the other members of the delegation come to Davos to pay our respect, to say New Year greetings to Switzerland and the whole world. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. These are the words used by Charles Dickens to describe the world after the Industrial Revolution. Today, we also live in a world of contradictions. On the one hand, with growing material wealth and advances in science and technology, human civilization has developed as never before. On the other hand, however, frequent regional conflicts, global challenges like terrorism and refugees, as well as poverty, unemployment, and the widening income gap have all added to the uncertainties of the world. Many people are wondering, what has gone wrong with our world? To answer this question, one must first track the source of the problem. Some people blame economic globalization for the chaos in our world. Economic globalization was once viewed as the treasure cave found by Alibaba in the Arabian Nights. But now it has become the Pandora's box in the eyes of many. The international community finds itself in a heated debate on economic globalization. So today I wish to address the global economy in the context of economic globalization. The point I want to make is that many of the problems troubling the world are not caused by economic globalization. For instance, the refugee waves from the Middle East and North Africa in recent years have become a global concern. Several million people have been displaced, and some small children lost their lives while crossing the rough sea. This is indeed heartbreaking to us. It is war, conflict, and regional turbulence that have created this problem. And the solution to this problem lies in making peace, promoting reconciliation, and restoring stability. The international financial crisis is another example. It is not an inevitable outcome of economic globalization. Rather, it is the consequence of excessive chase of profit by financial capital and the grave failure of financial regulation. There's no point in blaming economic globalization for the world's problems, as that is simply not the case, and it will not help solve the problems. From the historical perspective, economic globalization results from growing social productivity and is the natural outcome of scientific and technological advances. It is not something created by any individuals or any countries. Economic globalization has powered global growth and facilitated the movement of goods and capital, advances in science, technology, and civilization, and interactions among peoples. But we should also recognize that economic globalization is a double-edged sword. When the global economy is under downward pressure, it is hard for us to make the cake of global economy bigger. As a matter of fact, it may even shrink, and this will strain the relations between growth and distribution, between capital and labor, and between efficiency and equity. Both developed and developing countries have felt the punch. The voices against globalization have laid bare the pitfalls in the process of economic globalization, and we need to take that seriously. The Chinese tend to say, honey melons hang from bitter vines, sweet dates grow on thistles and thorns. In a philosophical sense, nothing is perfect in the world. One would fail to see the full picture if he claims something is perfect simply because of its merits, or if he views something as useless just because of its defects. It is true that economic globalization has created new problems, but this is no justification to write off economic globalization altogether. Rather, we should adapt to and guide economic globalization, cushion its negative impact, and deliver its benefits to all countries and all nations. There was a time when China also had doubts about economic globalization and was not sure whether China should join the World Trade Organization. But we came to the conclusion that integration into the global economy represents a historical trend. To grow its economy, China must have the courage to swim in the vast ocean of the global market. If one is always afraid of bracing storm and exploring the new world, he will get drowned in the ocean sooner or later. So what China did is to take a brave step forward to embrace the global market. We have had our fair share of choking in the water, and we have encountered whirlpools and choppy waves. But we have learned how to swim in this process. It has proved to be the right strategic choice. Whether you like it or not, the global economy is the big ocean that you cannot escape from. Any attempt to cut off flows of capital, technologies, products, industries, and people between economies, and channel the waters in the ocean back into isolated lakes and creeks. This is simply not possible, and indeed it runs counter to the historical trend.
The Chinese Premier Xi Jinping there giving a keynote speech at Davos. Very interesting start. He's basically taking on the critics of globalization, saying, don't write it off. This is the future, and we just have to embrace it and try and adapt to cushion the negative effects of globalization. A very powerful political message in the light of what's coming in America in a couple of days. Howard Zhang, just one sentence, your thoughts on that speech very quickly?
Just as we expected. He's making this pitch for more globalization rather than less, and he's offering China's examples to the world, saying we had experiences of choking in water, but we learned how to swim. This is not perfect, but we need to go on.
OK, Howard Zhang, thanks very much from the BBC Chinese service. Continued coverage, of course, here on the BBC of that. I'm back in 30 minutes with